Hi, in this unit 6 of Communicative English, we are going to explore an interesting theme. The theme is mystery and adventure. Of course, you youngsters would love to explore mysterious things, and you'll always love to adventure through a lot of interesting areas. Venturing through such hill stations or mysterious places is always interesting. And today, the theme underlined statement is mission possible. It's not mission impossible, the M is stricken because everything is possible in this world. You have to remember nothing is impossible, and with that note, let's enter through the unit of mystery and adventure. All youngsters would love to explore around the world, and all the mysterious places and adventurous areas will be very interesting to roam around or hang around with friends. And this theme is mission possible. Nothing is impossible in this world, and to survive with all the limitless boundaries around us is really challenging. And here in this unit, we'll come across lots of interesting passages on mysterious areas and interesting incidents, and a lot of interesting passages on adventure sports. In the warm-up, in the beginning, you have 3 pictures. Try to guess them, where they are, and can you spot the location, and can you find what is mysterious behind them? Yeah, you're right. The center one is Mahabalipuram. Likewise, find the other 2. Let's now do the warm-up exercise, the third one given in your textbook. Now, what you have to do is identify the adventure sports as whether they are land sport or air sport or water sport, and you have to list them under the appropriate headings. The first one, what is aqua jogging? Aqua or aquarium. Aqua means water, so definitely it is a water sport. Bird watching, we have in Vedandangal and lots of other places where plenty of birds come to breed and stay and move off. And bird watching is a sport that comes under land sport. Bird watching is a sport that comes under land sport. Likewise, paragliding. Paragliding is jumping from a mountain into the air, so it becomes an air sport. Just with like a parachute, they just glide across. So paragliding is an air sport. Mountaineering, climbing mountains, trekking, hiking a mountain is again a land sport. Skiing. Skiing is a water sport, so as snorkeling. Both skiing and snorkeling are water sports. Some are done in lakes and some sports are done in sea. Skydiving. So you have the term sky. So it's of course air sport. Skydiving belongs to air sport. Rafting. Rafting is a water sport. And scuba diving is again a water sport. Rock climbing is a land sport. Bungee jumping is an interesting game, an adventure game which is available in all the hill stations, where a person is tied and is lifted up into the air and he swings from there up and down, which is called as bungee jumping, which is a air sport. Kayaking. Kayaking is a very dangerous as well as adventurous water sport where you row a boat from a hill, and through a waterfall you come down the hill through water mode of transport, which is called as kayaking. And wildlife safari, jungle safari, sitting on an elephant and traveling, going into the jungle to see lions is called wildlife safari, which is a sport that belongs to land sport event. And at last, surfing. Surfing is a water sport which is very, very familiar to every one of us. So I think you would love to explore few of these adventure games and enjoy. Shall we move on to the main core content of the lesson? It's the reading passage. We have a reading passage and we have a poem to read and enjoy too. The beginning, you have been given an interesting contemporary incident that happened recently, that is just 2 years ago in 2018. I think you must have guessed it correctly. Some of you are exactly the right point, because it is the story of a rescue of young boys and their coach. Do you remember where did this happen? This happened in Thailand. And nothing is impossible, I said. Yes, of course, these boys survived for 2 weeks without food, without light, without proper air. And how did they survive? And by reading this passage, you will come to know the exact incident and the facts behind that. Now, let's have a gist of this incident. To begin with, this happened in Thailand. The reading passage is about the story of rescue of young boys and their coach. Doesn't it sound interesting? Yes. How did they survive for 2 weeks without food, air, light, and without any sort of communication with the outer world? And this is a strong story of friendship, human tolerance, endurance, and selflessness. 12 boys all belong to a same football team. They ventured as a trekking into a cave. The cave's name was Tam Luang Cave. And inside this Tam Luang Cave, they had to travel for about more than 4 kilometers inside to a wall where they used to write the names of every newcomer who represents the football team. The coach Aken took them into the cave and they all got trapped on June 23rd, 2018. On June 23rd, 2018, this drastic incident happened. These boys were caught inside Tam Luang Cave. They crossed the 4 kilometer and they went deeper up to 8 kilometers to write their names on cave wall just with torches. And they thought they will return within an hour, but they didn't. The team was called the Wild Boars, but this 12-member team of Wild Boars are now in serious trouble. It rained continuously and so water filled the cave. They had no choice. They went deeper and deeper into the cave. It was dark everywhere. Darkness surrounded them and they used the rocks to just create a cavern. Cavern means a little cave to sit inside. And they huddled each other for their warmth. And to survive, the only thing that they did was meditation. Their coach Aken taught them to meditate. He taught everyone to be tolerant, to understand the situation and to face life boldly. They were ready to face anything. They were ready to face any sort of pressure from within. They just drank water. Remember, they thought they'll return in 1 hour, but now they are held up there. Water was gushing inside the cave. They just drank water, no food, no air, nothing there inside. And now, imagine the plight of their parents. What would they think? Will they survive? Will they be able to see their children back? Thailand was shunned. Entire media rolled over there. Rescue operations began. The Thai Navy, the National Police, rescue teams from the UK, USA, Belgium, Australia, Scandinavia, many other countries rushed on June 28, 2018 after a period of 5 days. John Valentine and Rick Stanton, they were two world famous renowned British divers. They were experts in cave diving. These two divers swam into the cave and they were the first to find that all the 12 boys were alive. The happy news reached everywhere around the world. Prayers, prayers, prayers everywhere to save these 12 young footballers. This football team needs support from the World Rescue Team. And on July 2nd, the next sad incident happened. Saman Gunan, the Thai soldier, ventured to save them, but he died. The shocking death news rocked everyone. On July 7, 100 Thai and foreign divers rescued the entire team, and thankfully all the 12 members were in safe hands and they were rescued with the support of the whole nation and the prayers of millions and millions of people who watch the news, who watch the trending news every day. The mission, which seemed to be impossible to rescue all the 12 young boys, seemed at last possible by the rescue team of the world. And the adventurous story indicates us to have a strong will. This reading passage suggests you to face any situation bravely. Disaster management is an important subject which we have to learn. We have to face any situation boldly. Dear students, please be focused to face any problem with the right will. Anything is possible under the earth. Nothing is impossible. So please read the chapter again and learn the struggles faced by these children and how they overcome through it. And after this reading passage, you have interesting exercises. This gist would definitely help you to solve the exercises that follow. But dear students, let's improve our vocabulary by knowing these few words in the glossary. The first word, province. Province is a noun. So it's an area governed as a unit of a country. Province, area governed as a unit of a country. Endurance, which again is a noun, which means tolerance, stamina, strength. Venture, from this root word noun we get adventure. So venture means risky undertaking. Clambered, clambered is a verb which means a movement. So climbing awkwardly. So clambered means climbing awkwardly. Marooned, marooned is getting caught in an area. Marooned is a verb which means abandoned. Cavern, cavern is a noun which means a large cave. Drones, you must have heard of drones. The drones are like mini helicopters. Unmanned aircraft. Unmanned aircraft. Unmanned means without any human support. So drones are unmanned aircraft. Ecstatic. It's something ecstatic is an adjective which means overwhelming happiness. Overwhelming happiness. Maneuver. Maneuver is a planned movement. And winch. Winch is nothing but a lifting device. Something that lifts. So these 10 words would add to your vocabulary knowledge. Reading passage is over, and now let's move on to reading a poem. Now, reading a poem. Li Po is a famous Chinese poet, and he is a poet of adventure. And his poem, Hard is the Journey, has been prescribed for you for reading exercise. Shall we read it? Gold vessels of fine wines, thousands a gallon, jade dishes of rare meats, costing more thousands. I lay my chopsticks down, no more can banquet. I draw my sword and stare wildly about me. Ice bars my way to cross the yellow river, snows from dark skies to climb the Thai Hang mountains. At peace, I drop a hook into a brooklet, At once I'm in a boat but sailing sunward. Hard is the journey, hard is the journey. So many turnings, and now where am I? So when a breeze breaks waves, bringing fair weather, I set a cloud for sails, cross the blue oceans. Hope you enjoyed reading the poem. Chinese poets write very simple poems just to add pleasure of reading. And here, this poet explains how hard is the journey. And shall we see the few hard words in this poem? Gallon. Gallon is nothing but liquid measure of 8 pins, which means 4.5 liters. Jade. Jade, you must have known it's a very precious stone of dark green color. Chopsticks are the Chinese sticks which we use while eating noodles. A pair of thin sticks used to eat Chinese food. Banquet. Banquet is like a big buffet, elaborate formal dinner. So these words you can use whenever you come across writing skills, and when you read, kindly note down the hard words and always go through a dictionary and refer a dictionary and improve your vocabulary always. Now, shall we go on to the summary of this poem? In page number 120, we have a summary of the poem as a fill in the blanks exercise. Shall we now proceed on to it? The poet begins by describing what sort of fine wine? The fine wine is luxurious. So the poet begins by describing luxurious fine wine and very costly, so it can be expensive rare meats. When he says that he lays the chopsticks down, he means to say that he cannot eat and drink anymore because he has to focus on the journey ahead of him. When he says that he lays the chopsticks down, he means to say that he cannot eat and drink anymore because he has to focus on the journey ahead of him. When he says he drops a hook into a brooklet, brooklet is nothing but a small stream of water like a river. So when he says he drops a hook into a brooklet, it means that his journey has many turnings. It means that his journey has many turnings and he is bewildered, which means estranged. He is bewildered and lost. But towards the end of the poem, the poet seems to take an optimistic approach. See, from the beginning he says he has fine wine, he has rare meats, he has chopsticks, but he cannot eat or drink because he has a big journey. But now he says optimistically, the weather has changed. He says he describes the good weather as a breeze breaks waves, and because of this good weather, the journey does not seem as hard. If weather is good, then the journey will always be interesting. So the good weather brings a sense of joy and happiness. So he sets sail to cross the blue ocean. So the good weather brings a sense of joy and happiness to the poet. So the poet sets sail to cross the blue ocean. Like this, you will have some interesting unseen passages and unseen poems in the examination. You have to read the passage again and again to get the exact answer. Shall we move on to the next skill of the language study? Moving on to the next section, the language study. Communicative English students, you need to focus on a lot of idioms, phrases, phrasal verbs and use them in your communication, because idiomatic expressions shows your fluency and it improves your writing style, and knowing a lot of idioms will help you speak better and understand better. Now, to begin with, we have just 4 idioms here which we use regularly, and you have to choose the expressions from the boxes to complete the given sentences. Shall we proceed? The first sentence, many residents were caught off guard by the fury of the storm. So, caught off guard is the idiom here. The second, the joyful man Tony appeared in high spirits despite his injury. Though he was injured, he was in high spirits, he was in complete full energy. We were running out of time. It means time is very short. So, we were running out of time, so we decided to return home. So, running out of time is the idiom here. The Thai cave rescue story which gripped the world had a happy ending. Even happy ending is an idiom and grip the world is a phrase. So, the Thai cave rescue story which gripped the world had a happy ending. And now, confusables or alternatives, word alternatives. The next exercise deals with two words which look alike, which sound alike, or sometimes which puts us into confusion. So, we call as confusables. Let's now begin with the first example. The French doctor understood the full importance of the rites now being performed and never questioned the religious rites of his patients. So, the first is RIGHTS and the second is RITES. The moral of the story was clear. So, the moral of the story was clear, but it didn't help in restoring the morale of the sailors listening to the story. The moral of the story was clear, but it did not help in restoring the morale of the sailors listening to the story. The employers must always insure the lives of their employees. You know about insurance, that is this insure. The employers must always insure the lives of their employees so that they ensure increased productivity. The employers must insure so that they ensure increased productivity. The monks' initiative to teach meditation to the young boys was appreciated, but the young boys' initiation into the monastery was a surprise to their parents. So, initiative is something beginning and initiation is volunteer. So, the monks' initiative and the boys' initiation. The next exercise, C. Replace the underlined words with one word which means the same. So, this exercise will be there in most of your competitive examinations where you have to replace a group of words or a phrase with just one word. So, I am going to just explain the first two words here. Every year, how can we say this? Annually. Arranges systematically. It can be replaced by the word organizes. Now, can we read? Every year on August 15th, Cochin Adventure Foundation organizes a whitewater rafting event on Tejaswini River in Pilgam, Kannur. Pilgam is a 2-hour drive from Payanur. The 3-hour rafting ride will extend over a distance of 10 kilometers. Then you can carry out the exercise and complete it by yourself. Shall we move on to the next exercise? D. Fill in the blanks by choosing the most appropriate word from those given in the brackets. Britain recently announced, celebrated, abolished. So, now how can we guess the words? You cannot say Britain recently abolished National Park Week, and similarly it is not announced. So, recently celebrated National Park Week. So, the answer is celebrated National Park Week, during which a poll was conducted to find out the dash parks of Britain. Will it be haunted parks, favorite parks or hated parks? Most probably a poll will be done for selecting the favorite. So, find out the favorite parks of Britain. Lake District in northwest England emerged the winner. So, out of all the parks, Lake District in northwest England emerged the winner with 27% of votes, which was thrice that of the second most famous sites. Lake District region is home to a breathtaking mountainous area that is well known for having inspired William Wordsworth and was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2017. Remember, the theme of the lesson is adventure. So, you have to adventure to this region, Lake District region. The region has 12 of the biggest lakes in England. Families can take part in walking, cycling, swimming activities, and in winter can head to the mountains and take up one of the many winter skills courses. After choosing the correct words, now read the entire passage and understand the theme behind it. Okay, so with this we have come across the reading section, reading a passage, reading a poem, and then now the language study. Dear students, in this session we came across the warm-up exercises and then the reading of a passage which dealt with how 12 young football players along with their coach got trapped in a cave in Thailand and how they were rescued after a period of 2 weeks and how they survived despite a very struggling situation. Wasn't it interesting? And then we had a short and sweet poem by Li Po, a Chinese poet, on the pleasures of traveling. And he just said how hard it was to travel with all luxuries and then how safe it was to travel when it was good weather. Good weather determines a good travel was the theme of the second poem. The theme of the second one was how to travel in a good weather, and that was reading a poem. And after that we came across interesting idioms, and then we had a few exercises on confusables, terms that looked alike and then replacing one word instead of a phrase or group of words, and then we had an exercise of choosing the most appropriate word that fills a passage, and at last we had an interesting exercise. So this is the beginning of this unit, adventure and mystery, and nothing is impossible. So this mission is possible, and with that you can go on to the next sessions. With this, the first 3 parts of warm-up, reading and language study gets over, and now we can explore through the other sections of this unit 6.